The pulse that changed everything. The sky above Arian 6 turned into a burning sphere of white light. Every shadow disappeared. Every creature froze. Even the wind stopped moving, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The harmonic pulse had begun. Lieutenant Rovan stood in the center of the plaza with his two comrades beside him, their armor glowing brighter with each second. Their eyes, once faint blue, now shined like small stars. The Void followers screamed in fear, their bodies twisted violently as the pulse's energy reached into their unnatural forms. The giant Void follower tried to retreat toward the rift, but the rift itself was collapsing, folding in on itself like crumpled paper. This is the end, Rovan whispered. LRA watched helplessly from the command tower. She wanted to run to him, wanted to stop him, but she couldn't even move. Her body was frozen by a mixture of fear, shock, and grief. The pulse expanded further. White waves rolled across the sky like tidal waves of light. Every Void follower, big or small, shook violently. Their bodies cracked apart into billions of glowing particles. They didn't die with sound or fire. Instead, they dissolved into harmless dust that sparkled briefly before fading away. For a moment the sky looked beautiful, but LRA knew the beauty came at a cost. She whispered through the calm voice, trembling, Rovan, can you hear me? Rovan lifted his head slightly. His voice came back soft and slow. I hear you. The pulse, what is it doing to you? She asked. Rovan looked down at his hands. His fingers were turning into small particles, the same glowing dust that consumed the Void creatures. Our bodies carry Void energy, he said. The pulse sees us as part of the Void. This was always our fate. Governor Mark stepped forward, his voice shaking. There must be another way. Shut down the pulse. Stop it. Rovan turned his head and smiled sadly. There is no stopping it. Now, the other two Void-modified humans accepted their fate silently. They stood tall, watching the sky, watching the monsters vanish. They didn't panic. They didn't scream. They knew what they had chosen long before they came to Arian 6. Below them, the civilian crowd had gathered again. People cried openly. Soldiers saluted. Even Commander Var, who had faced death many times, could not hide the tears in his eyes. These three strangers had saved their entire planet, and they were fading away like ghosts. The pulse reached its peak. The sky flashed one final time. A shock wave of pure light rolled across the entire planet, clearing every last trace of Void energy. The rift snapped shut with a thunderous crack. Then silence. Complete heavy silence. No creatures. No shadows. No fear. The world was safe, but Rovan and his team were almost gone. LRA couldn't stay in the tower anymore. She ran down the broken stairs, past the rubble, across the plaza, until she reached Rovan, whose body was now half transparent. She placed both hands on his fading armor. You didn't have to do this, she cried. You could have lived here. You could have stayed. Rovan gently touched her wrist, though his fingers passed through slightly like mist. We were never meant to return, he said softly. The Void changed us too much. If we lived, the Void would have found us again. This was the only way to protect you. LRA shook her head. Then why come at all? Why answer our signal? Rovan's fading eyes looked directly into hers. Because, he whispered, your world reminded us what it meant to be human. A tear fell from Elra's cheek onto his armor and passed through his body. Flickered, his voice grew faint, live. Well, LRA of Arian 6, tell your people that humanity never abandoned them. With those final words, his body dissolved into a cascade of white light. The others faded the same way, leaving only swirling particles that danced in the wind before disappearing forever. Lyra fell to her knees, crying openly. Commander Var placed a hand on her shoulder. Governor Mark bowed his head. The entire crowd stood in a long, silent moment of respect. Above them, the massive human worship Astrius remained. Still, it did not move, it did not turn. It did not speak, its lights slowly dimmed and its engines powered down. The ship had no crew left, and yet it stayed in orbit as if guarding the planet even in silence, a memorial, a protector, a witness of what had happened. Over the next days, engineers and soldiers studied the ship. They could not enter it, they could not open its doors, they could not even understand half its technology. But they swore one thing: the Estrius would never be touched, never taken apart, never forgotten. It became known across the galaxy as the Ghost Guardian of Arian 6, a symbol of sacrifice, a reminder that even in the darkest moments humanity could return from the void itself to save those who had lost all hope. And LRA every night looked up at the silent warship in orbit and whispered, "Thank you, Rovan. We remember the SOS no one wanted to hear." The galaxy was quiet that night, or at least it felt quiet to Leary, the young alien operator sitting alone inside the deep space, listening station. The stars outside the glass window looked peaceful, almost frozen in time. It was the kind of silence that made people relax, the kind of silence that made people forget danger. But Lyrie never trusted silence. She believed silence only came before something big, something dangerous. Her job was simple: monitor strain signals and report anything unusual. Most days she only heard old radio waves, broken messages, or empty space noise. But on this day the silence broke in a way she had never experienced before. A sharp beep cut through the air. Lyrie jumped. The main screen flashed red. A message appeared: unknown signal detected, priority level extreme. Her heart started to race. Signals marked extreme had not appeared in her lifetime. She touched the control panel with shaking hands and opened the audio. At first she heard nothing, only static. Then slowly a voice broke through the noise, a voice filled with pure fear. "They are coming, run." Lur's breath caught in her throat. The message repeated louder this time: "They are coming, run." She froze. This wasn't a normal SOS. This was a warning filled with terror. Warning from someone who sounded like they were about to die. She checked the frequency again. It wasn't from any known alien empire. It wasn't local. It wasn't recent. It was ancient, thousands of years old, yet somehow playing right. Now her stomach twisted. How is this possible? She whispered. She sent the data to the Galactic Council. Within minutes, her station filled with alarms, notifications, and emergency commands. Ships across the galaxy received the same SOS. Every empire reported the same message. Across the stars, panic started to spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Leaders from dozens of species gathered. In the great chamber, voices rose, fear building in every corner. This must be a trap. No species can send a signal this Strong, is it a lost weapon? Who is coming? Who should we run from? No one had answers, but then the signal changed. It started to play on every channel, even channels locked by military codes. The message grew harsher, more distorted. They are here, they have found us, run. The last word broke into static. Silence fell again, a silence worse than the first one. Far from the council chamber in deep space, sensors began to detect something new, a disturbance like a ripple across the dark, small at first, then growing wider and wider. The space around the outer rim started to tear open, as if reality itself was being pulled apart. No one had seen anything like it. Ships turned their scanners toward the unknown rip. Data started pouring in, massive energy signature, unknown technology, size unknown, intent unknown. The fear across the galaxy turned into dread. The tear in space grew until it became a hole, a giant black wound in the sky. Lightning energy crackled around it. Then slowly something began to emerge. A shadow, long, metallic, silent. A ship, but not just any ship. Warship of impossible size. Then another and another and another. Within minutes, an entire armada stepped out of the tier, dark, cold, and terrifyingly powerful. No alien species in the galaxy had ships like these, not even close. The Galactic Council received live visuals. The entire chamber fell silent, watching the giant screens in shock and fear. Ships were black, armored like beasts, glowing with blue and red energy. Their engines hummed with the strength of dying stars. Whose fleet is that? Someone whispered. No one answered, but then an old historian stood up, shaking his eyes wide with disbelief. I have seen these ships, he said slowly, in old records, very old, from before the Great Silence. He swallowed hard. These ships, they belong to the humans. The entire council gasped. Humans, a forgotten species, a species no one had heard from in centuries, a species believed weak, small, almost primitive. But these ships were not primitive. They were monsters, destructive giants of war. Someone whispered the thought everyone feared. If this is the human armada, then what kind of enemy forced them to return? Because the ancient SOS did not ask for help, it gave a warning, a final warning. And now the galaxy realized something terrible. Someone had sent an SOS long ago. Someone had run, someone had died, and humanity had heard that call. The humans had arrived, not to speak, not to negotiate, but to finish something, something dark, something deadly, something lost in time. The galaxy waited, breathless, and the human armada remained silent, silent like the calm before a storm that could burn the stars themselves. The galaxy holds its breath. The human armada did not move. Hundreds of giant warships stood silent, in space like metal mountains floating in the void. Their glowing engines dimmed, their weapons cold yet ready. Every alien species watching felt the same fear. Why were the humans not speaking? Why were they just waiting? Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere was suffocating. Leaders stared at the main screen where the human fleet looked like a black storm frozen in time. They are not attacking, one alien whispered, but they are not communicating either. They didn't come for us, another said nervously. They came because of the SOS. But who sent the SOS? Someone else asked. That was the question no one could answer. Lyrie, the young operator, who first heard the message, stood at the control deck with dozens of officers. Around her, streams of data filled her. Screens, radiation levels, energy. Signals, ship numbers, weapon types. Everything pointed to one truth: these warships were built for only one purpose: destruction. Her hands trembled as she analyzed. Readings, sir, their power cores, she whispered to her commander. They match starburn reactors. Their engines can melt planets. Commander stared at the data, speechless. No fleet in the galaxy had such technology, not even close. If humanity built these, he muttered, what have they been doing all these years? Lyrie did not answer. No one could answer. Across the galaxy, ordinary aliens knelt beside their screens, praying to their gods. Soldiers readied their weapons. Civilian ships ran for safer regions. Every empire raised shields, moved fleets, and prepared for the worst. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt truly small, truly fragile, truly powerless. Then the human flagship lit up. A thin blue line pulsed from its front. Every sensor across the galaxy activated. Everyone leaned forward. The humans were sending a message. It was a single beam straight toward the Galactic Council. The council hall went silent as the translation system decoded the signal. At first, nothing appeared. Then a short message displayed on the main screen. We received your SOS. Identify the threat. The chamber erupted into chaos. They think we sent it. No. Nobody here sent the signal. We never asked humans for help. Someone tricked them. Someone wants war. Voices clashed. Fear grew. Lyrie stepped forward and shouted silence. The council, shocked to hear the young operator yell, turned to her. She lowered her voice. The SOS is not ours. It came from somewhere older, much older. The historian confirmed it. The signal matched an ancient pattern. He said quietly, it is from the extinct Vora species. A chill ran through the room. The Vora, a name whispered like a curse, a species erased from the galaxy thousands of years ago. But why would their signal appear now? Why would they humans return because of them? They council members exchanged nervous glances. What if the Vora are not extinct? What if they are coming back? What if the humans know something we do not? Again, the human fleet stayed silent, waiting, watching, their weapons glowing faintly like sleeping beasts. After hours of debate, the council sent a message back to the humans. We did not send the SOS. We do not know the threat. Seconds passed, then minutes. The humans did not reply. The silence grew heavier and heavier, crushing hope. Finally, after long wait, the human flagship opened a channel to share incoming data. Hologram appeared above the council table. A ruined world, a dead planet, burned black. The humans scanned it and displayed the results. Life form unknown. History annihilated. Cause hostile biomech weapons. Survivor message, they are coming. The historian gasped. The Vora fought something like this before they died. The council members felt their hearts sink. The threat was real. The danger was ancient, and whatever destroyed the Vora was coming again. But the humans showed more. They displayed another hologram. Massive tracks in space like tunnels, leading toward the center of the galaxy. Someone whispered, terrified, those are invasion paths. Humans ended the message with a chilling line, prepare your fleets. If the enemy arrives, you will not survive alone. Panic tore through the chamber, but even through the fear, hope sparked. Humans did not come to conquer, they came to fight something worse, something powerful enough to erase species, something old enough to send a desperate SOS across time. The council debated how to reply. Should they trust humans? Should they join forces? Should they prepare for war? Finally, the oldest counselor spoke. If humanity came back from the void, it means the threat is beyond imagination. We must answer them. The reply was sent. We will prepare. Tell us what we face. This time the humans responded faster. 3 words flashed on every screen. They are returning. No name, no identity, no warning, only a promise of destruction. The galaxy held its breath again, and humanity's fleets began to power up. The enemy behind the SOS, the human message, they are returning, echoed across every corner of the galaxy. For hours no one moved, no one spoke, no one even breathed properly. The fear inside every alien species grew heavier, like a cold hand pressing on their chest. If humanity, the most unpredictable, most stubborn, most dangerous species ever recorded, was afraid of something out there, then the galaxy truly had a problem. The Galactic Council gathered again, this time with fear in their eyes instead of arguments. Even the loudest and proudest empires sat quietly. Leary stood behind her screen, watching new data from the human Armada. Their ships were powering up slowly, weapons warming like beasts. Waking from a deep sleep, one council member broke the silence. How do we respond to this? What are he paused as the door opened. A tall human figure walked into the council chamber. Gasps spread instantly. A real human in the council, walking calmly, wearing a simple black uniform with glowing blue lines across the chest. No guards, no armor, no fear. Everyone stared. No one dared speak. The human raised a small device. It projected a hologram over the entire chamber, a 3D map of the galaxy glowing with red marks. These, the human said in a calm, cold voice, are the points where the enemy has already moved. The council froze. There were dozens of red points. What enemy? A trembling counselor finally asked. Who are they? The human zoomed in on one red dot. It showed an empty star system where planets were sliced into pieces like a knife had cut worlds apart. This enemy, the human replied, is called the Aravox, a name no alien in the room had ever heard before. The human continued, they are life forms born in deep void pockets between galaxies. They do not communicate, they do not negotiate. They survive by consuming stars, planets, and civilizations. The room filled with horrified whispers. Lyrie felt her blood run cold. The historian whispered, the Vora fought them and lost. The human nodded. Yes, the Vora were not extinct, they were wiped out. He zoomed into another system. This one was worse. Planets melted into slag, moons shattered, space filled with broken metal, skeletons, warships turned to dust. The Aravox left nothing alive, nothing at all. The human continued with a calmness that frightened everyone. The SOS you received was not from the Vora home world, it was from their last surviving fleet thousands of years ago. They sent it while fleeing. They hoped someone, anyone, would hear it one day. The council chamber fell completely silent, and we, the human added, heard it. Lyrie stepped forward, her voice shaking. But why did the signal play again now? The human turned to her. You triggered it. Me, she whispered. Yes. Your listening station scanned a drifting Vora beacon. It activated the final message, and when we saw it, we knew the Aerovox had returned. But why? Now a council member asked, why return? After so long, the human glanced at the hologram, zooming into a massive void. Region, because they consume galaxies in cycles. They left because they were full. Now they hunger again. A cold horror spread through the chamber. The Aerovox weren't just invaders. They were natural cosmic predators. They fed on galaxies like animals feed on prey, and this galaxy was next on their list. What do they look like? Someone asked, barely able to speak. The human activated another projection. A massive creature appeared, not flesh, not metal, but a fusion of both. Its body was shaped like a living armored fortress covered in glowing red veins. Multiple limbs moved like liquid metal, reshaping themselves constantly. Its eyes were pure darkness. It looked both alive and engineered, a nightmare built for war. The council recoiled in terror. The humans spoke softly. They adapt to every attack. Every weapon used on them becomes useless the next time. They are perfect predators. Then how do we fight them? Lyrie asked. The human looked directly at her. We don't fight them alone, we fight them together. The council went into debate again, but this time fear guided their voices. What if they arrive before we're ready? What if the humans provoke them further? What if our fleets cannot stand against this? Why should we trust humanity? The human pressed a button. The hologram shifted. Now it showed something terrifying. A massive Aerovox track leading straight toward central galactic space. They weren't coming eventually. They were already on their way. They will reach your outer rim in less than 2 cycles, the human announced. If you do nothing, your people will die first. Lyrie felt her chest tighten. What about you? She asked quietly. What will the humans do? The human turned to her with eyes full of grim determination. We did not return to conquer. We returned to finish what the Vora could not. We will stand in front of the Aerovox. We will delay them, and you will prepare for war. Lyrie swallowed. But can you win? The human looked at the projection of the Aerovox and whispered, we don't know, but we will not run. The galaxy stared at the hologram of the approaching darkness and realized the truth. The real war had not begun yet. It was coming faster than anyone could imagine. When the darkness finally arrived, 800 words, simple English, third person. The warning signals started quietly. At first they were just soft beeps, echoing through deep space stations. Harmless, easy to ignore, nothing unusual in a galaxy always full of noise. But then the beeps turned into alarms, and the alarms turned into screams. Every sensor in the outer rim lit up with the same horrifying reading. Space disruption. Unknown force approaching. Lyrie stood in the central command room, eyes wide, staring at the incoming data. This is not the humans, she whispered. These readings, they match the Aerovox signature. Her commander stepped forward, pale and shaking. Are you sure? She zoomed in the data. Red lines, thick and jagged, moved fast across the map. Yes, she said, the enemy is here. Across the galaxy, war drums began to beat. Lights flashed, shields activated. Fleets scrambled into formation. Everyone knew the same truth, the real threat had finally arrived, far away. The human armada stood ready, the flagship Titanus Prime, a black giant, larger than a moon, activated its command network. Its engines burned like captured stars, glowing blue and red. Inside, human captains and officers, prepared for war without fear, only with cold focus. Their armor hummed with power, their eyes scanning data faster than machines. On the bridge, the human emissary, the same one who warned the council, watched the void through a transparent war screen. When they appear, he said softly, "We strike first." The Aerovox came not through a wormhole, not through a gate, not through anything logical. They simply appeared as if the universe itself allowed them passage. At first they looked like shadows, thin black shapes gliding across the stars. But shadows do not bend metal. Shadows do not break planets. Shadows do not reshape themselves like living storms, but these things did. Massive shape grew clearer in the dark. A creature the size of a battleship, half metal, half living horror, floated forward, its body twisted, growing new limbs, new claws, new weapons every second, and then its eyes opened. Two burning red orbs, hungry, searching, alive. The first Aerovox let out a sound, a low vibrating hum that shook entire star systems. Lyri covered her ears and screamed. Others collapsed. Machines malfunctioned. Light bulbs shattered. Even space seemed to tremble. What was that? Terrified officer cried. The humans knew the answer. The emissary whispered, "Feeding call," and suddenly hundreds more Aerovox appeared behind it, then thousands. A dark swarm covering starlight, blocking constellations, swallowing cosmic dust. The galaxy had never seen so many. The galaxy had never seen anything like them. "Fire all weapons," a council commander shouted. Alien fleets across the rim unleashed everything they had: plasma cannons, ion torpedoes, starburst missiles, beam rays. The sky lit up with 1,000 explosions. But the Aerovox simply absorbed the attacks. Their bodies twisted and healed instantly, adapting, learning, becoming stronger. A single Aerovox creature stretched its limb like liquid metal, grabbed a warship, crushed it, and absorbed the pieces into its body. Another unleashed a beam of dark energy that sliced an entire cruiser in half. Screams filled the council channel. "We can't stop them. Our weapons do nothing. They are eating our ships. We're losing everything." Within minutes, 20% of the outer rim fleet turned into silent, floating debris. The Aerovox kept coming. Silent, hungry, unstoppable. Then the humans moved. For hours there, Armada had remained still, watching, studying, waiting for the exact moment to strike. And now they struck. The Titanus Prime lit up like a newborn sun. Dozens of human dreadnoughts activated their starboard reactors. Blue energy surged across metal holes. Weapons glowed white-hot. Human ships launched forward in perfect formation. Quiet, disciplined, deadly. A human captain spoke one line over the intercom: "Begin the wall of fire," and the galaxy watched in disbelief. Human warships opened their weapons at full power, not at the Aerovox but at space itself, igniting raw vacuum into burning plasma storms. A wall of blue fire swept across the battlefield. The Aerovox slowed for the first time. Their forms twisted in confusion. Alien commanders stared in shock. They're stopping them. The humans are pushing Then back how? What weapons are those? Lyrie couldn't believe her eyes. The humans weren't fighting like a fleet. They fought like a single organism with perfect timing, perfect coordination, perfect control. Starburn beams ripped through aerovocs. Bodies, gravity warheads pulled. Creatures into collapsing spheres, pulse. Cannons turned monsters into dust. The aerovocs roared, the humans roared louder. The battle turned into chaos, fire. Screams, shadows, explosions filling the void, but now the galaxy had hope, for the first time since the SOS played, the aerovocs stopped advancing, the humans stood in their way like an unbreakable shield, but Lyrie saw something else in the data, something darker, something terrifying. This wave, this is just a scout force. She whispered. Her commander turned pale. If these are scouts, then what is coming next? Lyrie stared at the screen, her voice trembling. The main swarm, the darkness behind the aerovocs began to move. Something bigger was waking. Something ancient. Something massive. Something that made even the human Armada look small. The true aerovocs force wasn't here yet, but it was coming, and the galaxy only had one shield left: humanity.